Greetings once again, fellow girls, guys, and gamers. This is Small Archangel. Welcome to another episode of Rising World Survival and our bunker build. And as you can see, I've leveled the ground a little bit here because the fire was kind of, well, it's kind of on a bit of a wonky angle now, but I don't really care. We've got a sheep clipping through our workbench, which, yes, Flossie, you. And I've also made a furnace here, which is smelting loads and loads of iron for me. Yes, I have been harvesting, or rather mining for iron since the last episode, because we're going to need lots of metal in this build, or for this build. We've got lots of metal blocks in here that I'd really like to be able to use. This one here is one I want to favourite. I also want, let's see, let me just have a look at what is in our favourites at the moment, because I'm fairly sure there's things in there that we don't want because they're not going to be particularly suitable for this build. So I'm going to get rid of them. Plaster, possibly. Okay, so we're going to want that one there, which I want to use for flooring and what have you. That one there looks like a good one for flooring as well, in point of fact. And then I do like these striped ones too. They kind of look like hazard warnings, so I'm going to favourite those blocks as well. And then we have some metal plates, which look like they might be quite useful also. That one, maybe that one, because it looks like a grill or a grating or something. And then that one I particularly like. I think that one's going to be really good for us. That one I'm not so sure about. I don't know, it looks like it might possibly make a decent ceiling or something. That's kind of like ducting, isn't it? So that might be useful as well. And then do we have metal? We have recycled metal, which looks a bit rusty, basically. And I'm not sure I want my bunker to look rusty. So there we go. We've got natural tiles blocks there as well, which I've never really used. But, I mean, that, if we could, you know, like place actual soil down there and grow stuff in a hydroponic kind of way, that would be good, but I don't believe we're going to be able to. So there we go. So we're going to need plenty of metal for that. Now you can see I've got some ore stashed in there, as well as an absolute ton of stone. I've got we've got some metal ingots as well. Yes, we've got a few ingots already as well, and we've got a load of concrete blocks. Now what we're going to be doing in this episode, we finished our stairwell in the last episode, if you saw that. So what we're going to be trying to do in this episode, at least, is our little kind of airlock type chamber here with doors. And then, oh, can't get over the sill there. We're going to sort of decorate this main chamber here. Now what I've decided I'd quite like ideally is to actually have a sort of an upstairs here as well. I'm not sure how much we'll get done this episode, because as I've said before, these builds can take up enormous amounts of time. I mean, they do take up enormous amounts of time, but they also take enormous amounts of time in the edit if I'm not careful, and I'm trying to avoid that along with everything else. So we're going to do as much as we can with this today. We've kind of got the size of the room mapped out with our boundaries there, but obviously I'm going to need to mine out some of this stone, which is kind of in the way at the moment as well, because it's going to be clipping through the walls as it goes, and then we're going to have hovering torches that we're going to have to move as well. Obviously we're going to have electric lighting down here as well. Ultimately that is the plan. Obviously not torches, because that would just be too primitive. So I will see you guys when I have hopefully mined all of this stone out of the way, and then we'll have yet more stone for our build, because it's either going to be metal or it's going to be concrete. Okay, now hopefully we've got the stone sort of out of the way. Oh, look at that. There's what I have forgotten to reset. Let's just place that so it's not actually going to be floating. Of course, we're going to have to replace these every time with sort of lay blocks and what have you as well. So, but never mind. That's just what we have to do, unfortunately. So hopefully we've got all of the stone more or less out of the way now, so we're going to be able to build our walls. Looks like that might possibly be in my way as well. But my plan is, I'm not going to do. I mean, I don't normally furnish my builds until I've completely built them, or you know. And in this case, it's going to be pretty much the same thing, except that we're not going to furnish it until we've excavated all of it and then kind of filled the walls out. So my plan is, this is our main central chamber, which we're going to try and decorate today. As I say, I would like an upper level on it as well. We're planning on having a few rooms off it. We've already got kind of a bit of an excavation out in this direction over there, which is going to be our storeroom. And then we're going to have at least 2 doors, about 2 or 3 doors off here, which is going to be our sort of kitchen, sort of canteen and communal living area, because this is going to be kind of like a communal sort of working bunker type thing. And then off the upper level, what we'll have the sort of the bedroom, the dormitories, and bathroom facilities, that kind of thing. That is my plan. But for today, as I say, we're going to concentrate on getting this main central chamber sorted out, and I will do the excavating for the other chambers as and when I know where they want to be and all the rest of it. So this is going to give us the opportunity to sort of map out the rest of the build, really, because at the moment all I've got is kind of a vague idea in my head of what I really want. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to have to sort out this little antechamber, which I consider to basically be the almost like an airlock. So we're going to have a sort of a metal door at both ends of this. It's a shame we haven't got something that looks more like a vault door, or a sort of a sliding technical kind of scientific door or something like that, because that is the kind of thing we really need here. But for now, let's see if we can get this this done more or less to our liking. We've got perhaps a little bit of a low ceiling at this point, especially since we've got a step up here, so there's probably going to be bits of stonework we need to take out as we go. But I'm planning on starting by, as usual, by selecting our blocks, and we'll see where we go from there. So we've got these blocks in our hallway down here. We're more or less going to ignore the night time at the moment, because it makes no odds when we're below anyway. So we've got our metal favourites, but then perhaps we're going to need some concrete and concrete plate favourites as well. We're using, I believe, that concrete block, so we'll favourite that one. And then besides that, we might use some of the other ones. So let's just have a little look at concrete plates and see if there's any of these that we're likely to use for flooring. That one we have already used, I think. That one we may use. Okay, here we go. So I think first of all we're going to do our floor. Now for this I had envisaged having, like we have up at the top there, sort of a red and white hazard zone type motif going on. So we're going to have a bit of metal around that, outside like so. And then I'm going to fill in the middle with some metal as well. But this time a different tile, like that one there. There we go. So that sort of goes nice and makes a nice metallic clunking sound when we walk over it. And those we'll probably use elsewhere as well, so it doesn't matter that there's some left over. I did that quite deliberately. And I've also got some of these, which are also metal blocks, but they don't look too much like metal. They look a little bit more like I don't know, concrete or something like that. And I thought we'd put those around the doors as well. But to start with, I think we really need to know where our walls are going to be. So we're going to use a mixture of these. Now we're going to see what this yellow looks like, because I'd quite like this yellow to be sort of the bottom. Now that doesn't look very yellow to me, but I guess that's the lighting in here. And maybe that's going to look a little bit, we need it to be here really, and there, and so yeah, we need to sort of mine that out a little bit more on that side, but that is more or less where I want it to be, and we're probably wanting it to be a little bit higher than that as well, like so. And that doesn't look like it's going to be too violently yellow, does it? Because I can barely see it at the moment, so that's quite subtle in point of fact. And then I've got this white concrete block, she says getting the wrong one, which we're planning on doing around the top there. So we've kind of got something ultimately that looks a little bit like sort of a more institutional kind of wall. To take that, and I can't reach the bracket it was in. Never mind. There we are. So it's sort of half one colour and half another. And again, this is highlighting nicely where I still need to mine the stone out. And again, I'm going to have to just remove that, and then we can't see a thing. But hey, and I will place another torch here so that we can still see as we go. It's a bit strange sticking it straight into a concrete wall like that, but there you go. That's what we have to do at the moment. Okay, and I think maybe we need it to be one level higher than that even. Let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, that's going to be approximately the right kind of height, isn't it? So we'll work on that basis. Okay, there we go. That's more or less got it. Now, I don't think we need to go any higher than that, but I would quite like it to sort of echo the vaulted ceiling here and have a sort of a sloped ceiling here as well. Oops, missed a bit. There we are. So I'm going to have to make some ramp blocks, I think. And then I think some of this stone is still a bit on the low side. Okay, there we go. So what we want to do now really is, oh, look at that, there's another bit that probably needs to come out. There we are. What we probably need to do now is sort of that, except that we need to work out where the doorway itself is going to go. So let's just make sure that we've actually got somewhere we can place our doorway across there. There we are. So the doorway is going to be here. So we need to bring this. Now that needs to be 4 high, 4. There we go. So it needs to be like that. And it also needs to be 2 wide, 2 blocks wide. So at this point I'm going to need my yellow concrete blocks again. And then we need to echo that on the other side, of course, but this time it's up some steps. So the door itself is actually going to be here, which means that we're going to need yellow there. Or do we want it possibly a block back from that? In point of fact, I think I might prefer it to be a block back from that. There we go. So I think maybe I'll put, see, that doesn't look too good. I think maybe I'll put more stairs either side of there. Just get rid of that because that's probably going to clip through as well. More stairs either side of there, so we've got 4 wide. And then our doorway itself is going to be here. So put that across here. There we are. And then again, we're going to need this. And this time, because it's gone up a step, we've only got the yellow going to there. That's okay, actually. I don't mind that. I don't feel the need to change that, I don't think. We have run out of yellow, though. There we are. Like that. And then, as I say, in here, we've then got a spare block. I can't see, but we have got then a spare block's worth to change the blocks on this side of the wall to match whatever is over in that direction. There we go. Is that the right number of blocks high? Yes, it is. Fantastic. Okay, so let's ditch these yellow ones and switch to our ramp blocks, diagonal blocks. And much as we've got out here, we might need some, I don't think we won't need corners like that. We'll need the inside corners like that one if we've got them at all, won't we? And we'll need one of those here. Hello, where is it? There we go. Let's just see if we can get that right way round, like so. And if we place these first of all, there we are. There we go, and then we can sort of see what we're doing for the rest of it. Now we're gonna, yeah, actually we're gonna need a couple of outside corners there, aren't we? Because that's how our ceiling rolls there. Oopsie. No, wrong way. Let's do that. There we are. There we go. Fab. Well, that's looking pretty nice, actually. That is looking pretty good in here. So now we're going to need a pair of doors for there to finish that off. One for that side and one for this side. And as I say, we're going to use we're going to utilize metal doors. That is what I was trying to say. We're going to use metal doors here. I think they're going to be the best ones we've got, unless there's one in here that I've forgotten about. Obviously, we don't want stuff. Those are all wood. Yes, these doors are going to be the only ones that are any good to us, any use to us, really, because if we try and use any of the other ones, I mean, the metal grill doors look pretty good, to be honest, but we need metal plates. But they wouldn't be any good for keeping out radiation or sort of ghoulish, I don't know, any kind of, you know, sort of raiders and bandits, whatever you're trying to keep out of your bunker, that's not going to keep anything out, so there we go. Iron plate. Alright, let's just make a bunch of those, and then we're good to go. So we need 2 of those if we can make them. Fantastic. Here we go. So I like our grill door at the top there, but as I say, that's not going to be any use whatsoever for sort of keeping out atmospheric issues or sort of chemical or anything else. Now, is that going to need to open this way? It is, isn't it, really? Because if it opens inwards, it's probably gonna get in the way of something. Now, does that one want to open outwards as well, or inwards? Not sure. That one opens inwards, doesn't it? Let's just try. Yeah, that one opens inwards, so let's make this one open inwards as well. So let's have a look, see what we've got. We've got in our favourites, we've got these. Now, I definitely want to use some of those in our bunker main room. Definitely. This ducting looking one is going to be useful for making, well, something that looks like ducting. Particularly if we use the cylindrical, there we go, the cylindrical shapes like that. But for now, let's just get back to our normal block. And that, yeah, I'm going to want to use quite a bit of that in here, I think. And we're probably going to need to use some of that in the flooring and perhaps in the walls, just for vents. I think that's going to look pretty good for vents. That I'll use in some places as well, but I'm unsure whether it's going to go upright, sort of like that, or whether it's going to be horizontal when we place it. So that might dictate whether I use that or not. Okay, so I'm going to want some of those, so I am going to make, 128. No, I'm not going to make 128 at this point. I'm just going to make about 60 of them, and we'll see how we go from there. But I really like that block, actually. I think it does definitely have the right kind of feel for us from main chamber there. That I'm sort of curious about. I would quite like to see which sort of way round it appears, so I'm going to make one of those just because I think it's going to be interesting to see which way round that goes. This one, I don't know, it doesn't look quite the same in the preview up there as it does as it did on my screen when I was looking at it just now, so I'm hoping that's sort of lying to me a bit there. We've got our steps here, so I'm going to fill those in for now. And then, I don't know why I've got so many of them. I don't need that many, really, do I? Oh, and I've just realised I actually forgot to put our sort of red and white around there. So I'm probably going to have to change that. Or else, what we'll do is we'll put it around here instead. And I'm fairly sure that we can do that without, pick it up, without the door falling off. There we go, and that is visible on both sides now. So, yeah, there we go. So you can definitely see some sort of hazard warning in action there. And then this side doesn't have it. That's fine, because on this side, it's supposedly safe. That is the plan. So, we'll move those now, and I'm just going to see, does this... We want to have a bit of an experiment, basically. So let's go where we've got some light. Let's see what this block looks like. Ah, it's part of. Ah, so it's sort of tiled. Ah, I see. I see how that works now. Okay. Well, let's take it away from there, because that's not quite where I want it. Wow, that takes quite a lot of hits before it breaks. I'll have to bear that in mind when I'm building this, or it could take some time. And this block, oh, it goes horizontally as opposed to vertically. Well, how's it going to look if, for example, we place blocks like that and then put concrete on top of them? Yeah, I think that's going to look quite nice, actually. I quite like that, but I probably will place 2 blocks high in the metal and then concrete above that. So let's get creating those blocks, because I just made those 2 to start with to not waste any metal. So we'll see how many of these we can actually make. Yeah, that's not what I meant, is it? There we go. Iron ingot. Oh, and we've used up all our iron ingots. That's incredible. It's a pity I can't scrap blocks that I have no use for just yet. So maybe, possibly, we're going to have to economize and just use 1 block high of those for the time being. I'm not sure. Let's see. I don't know. They're not going to go ever so far, are they? Let's just work out where our doors are going to be. So I'm going to have, as I say, at least 2 doorways coming off here. I want a doorway to a sort of a common room at this end. Probably, oh, I don't know, let's have it 6 blocks in or whatever, and then we're going to have a doorway to a kitchen area, which is going to be a similar number of blocks from this end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've got a doorway leading off in sort of both directions there, and then I will probably put a doorway kind of in the middle as well. And I have no idea how many blocks there actually are here. 37 blocks there, so the middle is going to be, whoa, backwards a bit, roughly 17, 18 blocks, roughly 18 blocks. So let's just do that. So 18 and a half, which we can't really do. There we go. So we'll call it that, and then we've got 3 doorways there. 1 of which will lead into the kitchens, 1 of which will lead into the common room, and I'm actually intending the kitchen dining area to be at 1 big open plan once the first 2 doorways will probably lead into that. And now we just need to get these blocks to go around the rest of the walls, which is going to take some doing because I've now run out. So I'm going to need to craft some more. We haven't got that much metal, so that's going to take a while. But we've got smelting stuff. Then the rest of it, I think what we're going to do, let's just sort out this doorway first. That is going to obviously need to be 4 blocks high. Like that. And that is our doorway, which is that right, or is that even higher than the one we had here? It is, isn't it? So again, we're probably going to need some steps going up there, but that's okay. I've got some here. There we are. And I'm going to fill in that bit of wall that's in the intervening gap there as well. Possibly just with concrete, although I'm not entirely sure. What we'll probably do is fill it in to match the walls of the main chamber, which means we're going to need some metal in there like that. And then we'll have another door here, and then this is obviously going to have to be sort of sloped. Actually, we're going to have sort of some sloped ramp blocks there. Do I have some here? I do have some here. Let's see if that'll work. Or maybe they are better like that. That's better, isn't it? I think that's going to be better. Yeah, I think that's going to be better. And then we'll probably have another door here, but it's going to be a different kind of door. I'm not quite decided what all the doors in here are going to be like. Maybe just the white ones that we've got. Again, it's a shame we don't have a sort of an institutional kind of looking white door, but hey. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. So this is going to take some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all this off camera, placing all my concrete blocks and what have you. And I'm going to need to make some more. I'm going to need to make some more metal ones. I'll be doing some smelting and things as well to get more iron ingots and all the rest of it. So that's going to take some time. So I'm going to do this off camera, and you guys can join me again once I've got this little bit of it sorted out. Alright, so we're pretty much done here. The level of our floor is obviously we're sort of standing below the level of the floor at the moment, and it occurs to me that if we want to put a second level on, we may need to take bits of the ceiling out as well, but we've probably mostly got room up there. I don't need the ceiling to be particularly high up there, I don't think. I suppose it needs to be high enough for us to put sort of a full block doorway in, so we're probably going to need to take a bit more out, but that's going to be a lot easier to do obviously once I've got something to stand on to do it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to deal with the floor, which is ever so lumpy around here. So again, I'm probably going to have bits of mining to do to take the floor out and make it more or less level. You can see our doorways now, so I've got 3 doorways on this wall, and then I've put that doorway absolutely smack bang in the middle of the wall over there. It doesn't look very central because there's temporary lighting at the moment is making it look wonky, but that is absolutely central, so that I sort of counted it from both sides. And as you can see, I decided to put metal paneling a bit higher at the sides than it is on the ends. We kind of run out of metal now, so I can't place metal sort of at the right sort of height at the both ends as well, but I might do that ultimately. I might sort of decide it looks better that way. So now we need to get our flooring sorted out, and we've got quite a few of these blocks here, but I'd like to use those particularly as footings to columns, because we are going to have some support columns there, because this is an enormous space. It's an enormous cavern, and I think it's only realistic to have columns to kind of hold up the ceiling and what have you. And I'm also going to want to have a walkway around the top there, and that's going to be at sort of that kind of level up there as well. So we're definitely going to have some mining work to do up there, but right now I want to deal with the floor. So we want to have some flooring, and much as I'd love to have metal flooring, we're going to have to be sparing with that, because I am just not going to be able, I don't think there's probably enough metal in the map to floor this entirely in metal. So what we'll probably do is have a sort of a, I don't know, a strip of metal around the outside or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but yes, I'm wanting to sort of, yeah, we'll mainly have a concrete floor in here, I think, but I'd quite like to have yeah, some sort of I don't know, band around the outside. We can maybe have concrete here, for example, around the edges, and then have a stripe of some kind of, I don't know, metal or coloured concrete maybe. Maybe we could even, I've pretty much used up that concrete now, which is amazing, isn't it? So there goes that. I don't know if I've got any more. I don't think so, but there we are. So yeah, we could then maybe have a coloured strip of concrete going around. We can maybe even have colour coding depending on the rooms. I'm kind of thinking along those lines, but maybe I'll just use that in the rooms rather than, you know, it's not going to be that big a book. You're not going to need to follow the painted stripes to get to the appropriate sector or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to need some of those. I don't know, I'm going to leave that for the moment, but off camera I might just, yeah, as I say, I might just finish that off. This block here, yeah, we're going to use those as footings for our columns, definitely, but we're going to need some more stone because we're going to need some more concrete. Let's just see, here we go. And the concrete that we've got, is in our favourites. We're using just that one at the moment, aren't we? And I've got that sort of going around the walls a bit as well, so we'll make 2 more of those to make sure we can make a stripe of concrete around the bottom of the floor. Let's just see if we've got concrete plates that'll look good as flooring. Okay, so we are armed with some concrete blocks to finish going around the outside. Up like this. And hopefully we have enough to finish the job. I think so, because just about. There we go, there we go. Alright, and then we've got the odd little bit of stone clipping through here and there. Just to tidy up. And that is obviously going to clip through as well. There we are, and then the rest will probably be okay. But we can get rid of it as it proves to be a problem. Now, what I've decided is that this might look quite good around the outside of this room. Again, not entirely sure if I've got enough of this. Probably not, to be honest. I've only got two stacks of it at the moment, and not even quite 2 stacks of it, so probably gonna have to come back and do some more of that once I've got some more metal sorted out, because that's as far around as it's going for the moment. But that looks very bunker-esque. I'm liking that a lot. And then I've got what else did I do? Well, we've got this block here, which I decided might make good flooring. But before that, I thought maybe we could use up some of these other concrete blocks. That is not what I meant. Like that. And I'm not sure quite what they look like. You see, that's quite cool, actually. We've got nice big sort of squares there. So I quite like that. I'm going to go all the way around with that. And we've got quite a few of these, so hopefully we'll certainly be able to use those up. Okay, there we go. That's looking pretty good. That is looking pretty good. And this is where I was planning on placing these tiles here, which are concrete, but they're reinforced concrete. And this is where we could use reinforced concrete, because this is where I'm planning on putting some of our sort of technical equipment. What technical equipment? Well, we're going to have to probably get a little bit creative there, aren't we? But if we could play, obviously we're going to need more lighting in the centre of the floor here, so we're going to have to again get creative there. But that is part of the reason why I want to place sort of pillars around the place as well. Now, where have I got any more of that? Is that the same block? I think it is. There we go. So we'll see if we can complete one of these 2 segments anyway. But we can put lights on, wall lights on pillars as well, so we can provide a lot of light in the middle of these spaces too. But this is going to be basically kind of a workspace, which that is, yeah, that's the same block. Good stuff. Which is going to contain sort of, yeah, I don't know, consoles and such like, such bunker-like equipment. And we're probably not going to have quite enough there, but you get the impression. Oops. There we are. Oh, we do have enough. Fantastic. There we go. And we've just got a little bit clipping through there. And then we can take a look at that effect, albeit a tad on the dark side. Let's just grab a torch and take a bit of a look at that. There we are. Nice. Okay. And then I'm going to fill in this equal sized sort of portion on this side just the same. And then what we'll probably do, that sort of marks where our columns are going to need to go. We've got a wider swathe at either end, in order that these doors here have just got the ordinary tiles, and in order that all of this area here is not going to conflict with our entranceways. And the same in the middle, we have a walkway here, and then these are going to be our sort of central areas. So our pillars, in other words, are going to go in the middle here. And as we noticed earlier, the middle portion actually needs these blocks. Yeah, now that's unfortunate, because that's actually got the texture going yeah, there's not a lot we can do about that, is there really? We're just going to have to, we can't sort of change whereabouts the texture sort of fits. So we're just going to have to plonk them there and sort of hope for the best, really. And the same here. So the texture is going to look possibly right on some sides and a bit weird on others. There we are. That one looks quite the way I intended to on this side. And this is just the fittings. The footings, I beg your pardon, for the columns that we're going to place here. And it's possible that I will just decide to make these columns sort of 1 block by 1 block. But what I'd rather do really is, I don't know, that's quite thick really, isn't it? So I might just make them sort of 1 block all the way up. We can have square footing like that on them, and then possibly have a cylindrical pillar going up from there. And there, see, that's kind of what I envisaged, and in actual fact I like that. So that, I think, is how we will think. We'll go in this corner here. Now I can sort of, yeah, that's kind of further up than probably I need to go, but I think that is what we'll sort of do. We'll have, there we go. So I'll just start these off for the time being. In this in each corner of our sort of working area, we'll have a column. So I'm going to have to take out all of these other bits of metal because I think that is a little bit on the big side there. And we've got this place sort of started off, so we sort of know what we're doing with it now. These columns are going to be taller, and of course there's going to be a corresponding set for over on the other end there. And you have to kind of imagine the place with more electrical looking lighting. I'm going to have to make some more metal blocks to finish off that little bit of sort of hazard zone around the outside as well. And then, yeah, we're going to have a gantry going around the top, and then a kind of a vaulted ceiling going across there, which, as I say, I would really quite like to use these metal riveted blocks to form big sort of beams going across the roof space there as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you like the way that our bunker build is going so far. I'm quite enjoying it. It's kind of developing organically. I don't quite know what I'm doing until I do it, and that's I kind of like it that way. And if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and let me know. Also, as ever, feel free to leave your hints, tips, comments and suggestions, and I do hope you'll join me for the next episode of Rising World Survival. Until then, keep gaming, keep surviving, and stay happy. Bye bye for now.